Alrighty, hey again everyone. Welcome back to part 172. You'll never guess what we're doing today for another three-ish something hours. Yeah, that's right. We're gonna build a mountain, or keep building the mountain. Again, again. Gotta get it done at some point. But yeah, welcome back. Everything's been going pretty good so far. Um, we're currently on actually 1.19.4. I forgot to mention that here at the start, so that's pretty neat. You can see here up at the top, 1.19.4. We're cruising at day 1736. I still have a good computer. Don't know why that would change, but either way, I'm glad I actually have something that can run stuff. That's pretty neat and fun and cool. CPU doesn't matter as much for Minecraft since it's single core and all, but you know, still is cool. I can actually see the top of my base from ground level instead of having to look all the way up. So that's fun. Um, I don't remember the search bar being this bulky, but we're not gonna worry about that. But yeah, today we're gonna keep going pretty much. Oh, also this should be a thing I can do now. There we go. That's actually very nice. You used to be able to do that on either console edition or Bedrock edition, but they just haven't either had it be a thing on Java until now, like until 19.4 here. But it's still really nice that I can do it. So I think last time I stopped working on it halfway through, yeah, so we're gonna keep going with that first. But yeah, it'll be a pretty easy day today again. It's just building, like usual. Important, but it's gotta get done. No, it's boring too, but it does have to get done. That's gonna be so nice to not have to deal with all the time. But yeah, we're just gonna get straight into it. So yeah, here we go. I'm entering the part where I built the mountain because, I was feeling like it. Oh, I finally got a drawing tablet coming in the mail here on Monday or Tuesday. And not to mention, currently on my PC, right, just for some extra context, new computer and all, cool, whatever. I've got a 1 terabyte SSD for my operating system, and then I've got a 2 terabyte NVMe for most of my games and stuff like that. And then for bulk storage, I've got one 4 terabyte SSD. And then in the mail here, I'm getting another 4 terabyte SSD, simply because I feel like it and I can. And I think that's funny and cool. And definitely overkill, like 100%. That and the 128 gigabytes of RAM are by far and away some of the most overkill I think I've ever done in anything. Which, hey, still pretty neat though. That was a wrong one. But yeah, I'm just happy to have a good computer. It took quite a while to save up for it and all that, but it's nice. It wasn't actually too terrible, mainly because I didn't have to buy like a monitor again or anything like that. But I think overall it was about 2,300 USD. No, it was 2,350 after tax, and then I bought the 1 terabyte SSD separately from that order. So it's something more in the ballpark of like 2,475, almost $2,500. Um, which is quite a lot, but considering the price of pre-builds, honestly, I think I walked away with a great steal, especially considering like I did not have to splurge on the RAM the way I did, so I could have probably saved like an easy like 100 something dollars. Um, but I'm trying to stay away from pre-builds and all that because I don't mind building my PC because this is the second one I've ever built, but I want to actually see if I can find like better pre-builds that even exist because it would, I want that bed back. There we go. But yeah, I've just kind of been taking it easy the past couple of days. I know I said I might start streaming on like weekdays, but I've kind of been pretty tired, and since I've come home from work and all that, like I just pretty much go straight to taking a nap. So that hasn't happened yet, unfortunately. But I do want to actually start streaming on weekdays. It's just kind of weird finding the time or motivation to. I'm working on it, so it just takes time. But yeah, it's been pretty good so far. That drawing tablet's going to be very cool for me. I'm actually taking it like a lot more seriously when it comes to like making art and all that. Not necessarily that I'm trying to make anything super high quality or like, trying to monetize a hobby just so I can have extra income in my life. I'm like, wow, I can draw. Time to go on Twitter.com and advertise that I can do commissions. Like, no, I'm doing it for fun, personally. I don't make great money at my job, technically. I'm gonna get up to 17 an hour here somewhat soon, and I'll be working 35 hours a week. Well, this is actually the first week I just finished was 35 hours a week, but the thing is with living in Florida, especially in the city that I live in, because it's a coastal city, uh, first of all, everything's a waterfront property in Florida. Spoiler alert. So if you think, wow, I've got this great waterfront property in Florida, that's cool. So does literally everyone who has ever existed and lived in Florida, because it is literally a swamp. It is literally a swamp this far down south. So everything has some kind of waterfront lake or something like that. Not even just beachfront is worth a lot more because it's beachfront. But waterfront, like generic waterfront, is just a fucking lake. And they're all these stupid little goofy ass manufactured lakes, and they're just not, oh wow, a body of water I can look at that has no bearing on anything ever. That's cool. Like, no, it's not. And then they use it as an excuse to jack up home prices, and it pisses me off. It's just lame. The easiest fucking things to fall for is like, oh, it's got this gorgeous waterfront view, and it's like, shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter. It has no bearing on like your actual quality of living other than the house itself. And I know this is kind of a rant, but like, it pisses me off so much, dude. Like, I can't find anything that doesn't just straight up advertise that it's got like a non-waterfront property, which that seems like kind of like a nitpick, but you gotta understand again, this like jacks up the fucking home value to like an unreasonable degree to where it's like, they think they can tack on an extra 250 a month in rent or like for a lease because it's like, well, it's got a waterfront view. I mean, you can't get that anywhere else. And it's like, yes, I can. Everything down the street and above me and everything near me has a waterfront view. You're no different from any other man on the block. It's just like it's just lame. The worst part about housing, man. I don't make bad money at work. I mean, this PC stuff is the most I think I've ever splurged on in my life, like, period. And now that I've got this drawing tablet, it's like, like this drawing tablet and this storage was like the last stuff I could truly ever want or need of like new stuff. The only time I would ever buy new computer stuff is if I'm replacing something old that's like straight up broken, because otherwise, this PC was built so that way I would literally never have to fucking mess with it again, pretty much. Like, I'm trying to future proof it as much as possible. So, yeah, $2,500 or so, pretty much after everything's all said and done. But, like, I'll never have to upgrade this thing again. The only things legally are, like, the CPU, which, again, I'm rocking, like, a Ryzen 9 5900X and, like, an RTX 3060. These are the two only, like, things that I would have to reasonably upgrade. I will never, ever need to upgrade storage again. I'll never, ever need to upgrade RAM again. It's just legally those two things would be the only things I need to upgrade, but they're already like pretty top of the line to begin with. So it's like, no, I don't need to. So now that I've kind of taken care of that fixed cost, I can start making cool stuff on the internet again and just like, learning new skills and all that with tech and all that kind of stuff. But, I don't like the reason I dump so much money into this is because I don't go out and like, go to bars or, well, I can't drink yet, but I don't go out to restaurants and like waste all my money on activities and stuff like that because there's simply just not enough money for me to do that. I'm trying to save here so I can move out or so I can actually afford any kind of down payment on a house or like afford to live in a fucking, manufactured or mainly a modular home. That's what I'm really after, is a modular home. A different story, but it's frustrating because, no matter how much I save, I'll never be able to get out of here with my current paycheck, even though I'm going to be making 17 an hour, 35 hours a week. And like taxes don't even take out like a lot out of my paycheck. Like right now, I lose $50 out of 450 to taxes. Oh no, big whoop. Like it doesn't matter. Even after I get this pay bump and all that, it won't matter because it's objectively going to be like $75 or something. It might even be less, who knows? But it's not enough to care about. Maybe over the course of like a very long period of time, yeah, oh, that's like, you know oh, it's 2,000 extra dollars I could have had, but then it's like you're making like 20,000 at that with that kind of duration of time. So it really just does not matter, you know. Like, I don't go out of my way to spend all my money on like stupid shit all the time, you know. Did with these like computers here, and it's not even really stupid shit because I'm actually getting like definitively like I'm getting good value out of them, but like you know, it's just rough right now being an adult in Florida because it's like you can't fucking. I have no hope of ever getting housing unless I like somehow manage to like steal someone's entire house or something like that, or you know anything of that nature. Because otherwise, it is just there's just straight up no chance in hell that I'll ever be able to own a house. So it's like why even bother trying after a certain point, but. I'm gonna keep holding on for a couple of years and just hoping. I'm trying to save up some money so I can at least try and move out of Florida, but you know that can only happen for so long. And we have a problem. I'm out of dirt. Ah, oh shit. We're gonna check down in the storage, but I'm gonna say that we're out of here. We're out of dirt down here too. I think I took as much as I could from the main storage down here, but I'm not sure. Nope, just kidding. We got one shulker. I think we got a little bit mixed in. We got some actual grass blocks, so we do have enough for right now. But you know, we are running low. I'll have to go harvest more again soon, but it's just kind of lame being an adult. You know, I don't even want a whole lot out of life. I just want to be able to like own a house. And it doesn't even need to be a big house. It's like, hey, can I have a bedroom, a bathroom, and like an office? And like that's about it. And then like a kitchen. You know, I can't forget about having a literal kitchen so I can cook food instead of having to live off of fucking freezer meals for the past. Oh god, I moved back in September, so I think it's been about 7 months since I've like had like food, like proper food that isn't just like you know refrigerated or not refrigerated. I mean more like freezer food, you know. Like it's just you know kind of can't afford it, and then even if I could, it's like I don't have a lot of freezer space or fridge space in my fridge, and then I also don't have a stove or an oven to actually cook anything with. So it's like, you know, why bother at that point? I have to stick to freezer food because if I don't, it costs too much money and then it's lame. But you know, there is still a chance I could actually do cool stuff. But it just, man, it gets more and more frustrating every day just because it's like, you know, I worked hard my whole life and it got me pretty much nowhere without having to resort to like something stupid. So, but one of the best things you can do apparently is like have a small business or something like that, but mainly being like the owner of your own business of some kind is like a big deal because you know if you're the one making money at the top, then of course you're gonna make a lot more. But I just man, I don't even know what I would make like a small business of because I'm not bad with money from like an actual like objective financial standpoint. I'm not bad with money at all. You know I've got like good critical thinking when it comes to shit like that. You know I mean I know how to budget. I know how to like manage my fucking resources and all that. But you know I wouldn't even know what to make a small business about. You know like the only thing I can think of is like some kind of like well like I know the big thing is not necessarily about creating stuff anymore. Like there is no money in like innovation anymore unless you're making like leading edge technology that's going to redefine the world or something like that, which I simply just can't do and don't have the smarts to do, and that's okay. So the other option is just owning stuff and leasing or renting it out. Like one thing I saw was like like kind of like boat or like yacht rentals or something like that, especially with it being in Florida. But the main idea is renting or leasing something out to people that they really want to use, but they wouldn't want to buy. You know what I mean? That ends up being like one of the probably the safest things you can do is being able to rent or lease something to someone that they really want to be able to use, but they don't want to have to like go through the effort of buying it because it's not like economically viable for them to buy it if they only need it for like a month or something. So it's figuring out stuff like that. You know, what is something that enough people would want in Florida that they wouldn't want to buy, but they would love to rent. So that way it's just, you know, relatively hands free in terms of maintenance, things like that. And that's why I'm so serious about keeping like expenses down for myself too, because it's like if you don't have a lot of money going out and you pretty much only have money coming in from like an expense standpoint, then it takes less and less to like be able to live to where you don't need to go to work forever to, be able to live, Like, even assuming if I was paying all my own shit, assuming I'm not paying rent because I own the fucking building, we're talking I spend like at most, I mean at absolute most here, like 2,000 a month for literally everything: utilities, internet, food. Fucking, I don't have a car payment, fucking any kind of maintenance, and it gives me money to save too in a savings account in case a rainy day happens or there's something cool I want to get way later on down the line. But it's like I don't put enough money out for it to matter. So it's just getting a little bit more money to come in without having to pay like some kind of rent on like a house. That if I didn't have to pay rent on a house, I would have already moved out ages ago, even when I was just turned 19, because it's like 15 an hour, 30 hours a week would have been enough for me, but it's because fucking rent is just too ridiculous, you know. I can't feasibly move out, and it's annoying, man. It's not cool. But I'm hoping to get that changed soon. With this real estate license, this is like one of the first proper things outside of college that I've seen in my life. That's like, hey, you can still be properly successful depending on what your definition of success is, which does vary by person to person. It comes in many different forms, so don't forget that. But this is one of the only things I've properly heard of outside of college. It's like, hey, it's not necessarily like a get rich quick thing kind of thing, but like because it's just a large amount of money you get off of basic commissions, given like the median home price, it's like, if you're smart with the commissions that you get, you don't spend it all at once and you put a lot of it away pretty quickly. You're talking about how you can make like, you know, $1,500 all at once just from selling a single house after, my commission gets split with some other people. And once we stop splitting with these other people, because they're going to be training us up, so then we have to split our commission with them at first. But once we don't have to split with them and we don't have to split with a broker, then we're talking like I'm pulling away with like $4,000 of just money, after selling a single house or whatever, and I'm just handling paperwork stuff or getting a license to be like a property manager or whatever, like things like that. It's just my main point is there is success in life without having to over rely on college or trade school and all that. It's a lot harder, but I mean it's doable. I mean hell, I've even I moved like a lot of their furniture for him some years ago or something like that. But there are these two people I know that him and his wife were moving from like this nice house to like a really fucking nice house because his wife was actually like a small business owner of like a bakery or whatever. She made like really good like cookies and pastries and all that. Kind of like they were for they were more for events. So like for like my graduation party, she actually made them. And there's just these like decorated like sugar cookies and like it's stuff I wouldn't you wouldn't necessarily think about being like a profitable like industry or business because it's like well they're just cookies, but like when it comes to certain things or events, people want to buy them in bulk. And if there's not a ton of those like artisan bakeries, then like, when people want them for like weddings or like, anniversaries or graduations or funerals or, birthdays or whatever, there's hardly anyone to choose from. So they were, able to break into some. Or hell, he even, he actually was a franchisee owner of like Verizon or something like that too. And like, him and his wife are making bank by doing stuff like that. So now I gotta actually wonder if it's even worth being a franchisee. But it's just stuff like that. There is such thing as success without having to go down like a traditional route of like go to college, get a good job, hope you get a good job over the next 10 years. Like I don't want to wait that long. I feel like I've waited enough in my life, and life doesn't inherently owe me or anyone else anything. But like I'm tired of waiting, dude. There's not enough time left to wait. I want to just kind of get up and go. I want my degree so I can fuck off and just go do anything else other than live in Florida. Like I have got to get out of this state as soon as possible because again, I just really do not like living here. You know, I'm lucky I'm not even homeless because of that hurricane. So I mean, I cut it really close with it too. But I'm just kind of tired of being in Florida. It's hot, and like honestly, home prices are way too expensive down here. And I kind of want to go to a place that has actual trees and shit to like explore in nature. I wouldn't mind going outside, unironically, if there was fucking shit to do down here. But it's always just go to the beach or go to the nearby park that also costs money, and you have to have like a car to go to, and you also have to be willing to like drive there and sit in traffic, and then it's just fucking stupid, man. It's just kind of a pain in the ass to do anything in Florida, especially too because you're expected to pay money for like anything. The only other option is like the local library, but half the time I don't even feel like doing anything after getting off of work. Like otherwise I would have started streaming a lot more, but it's just it's not worth it for me mentally because I'm just tired by the time I get off of work. I don't do a lot, and I think that's why I am tired when it comes to like working. Is I literally physically don't do a lot at my job, and it's like I do office work, but what I've been doing for the past like couple of weeks was like I was doing some monotonous, boring shit, and then now I'm like designing like an incentive program for the entire company for like bonuses for like their labor employees and all that, and like gonna get a whole better title with it and everything. And that's where I'm getting that pay bump and that increase in hours for is to manage this thing. But it's like something I know I could probably pretty comfortably do from like home on specific days because literally there's nothing to it like at all. Like it is fucking easy to do. It's really not hard. Like all I basically do is I tinker around in an Excel file for like 7 hours a day now. Like it's I worked for I had a span of like 3 or 4 days this week, where I worked 0 hours at all. Like I literally did nothing on Tuesday. I worked for maybe 2 hours on Wednesday. I like half hour on Thursday, and then on Friday I did a little bit more work, but like I didn't have work to do because it was all stupid easy shit that I could get done within like 30 minutes. And then I would just wait for my boss to swing by inevitably, and he'd be like, "Hey, what's good? We got an update on this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure. Here's exactly what I've been doing. Here's some like proof right here. Here's some definitive results." Like, "Wow, great job. See, you're moving on up. Get that bonus here pretty quickly." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then it's like, that's it. There's nothing else to it at my job, and that's perfectly fine by me. I shouldn't be allowed to handle anything important, unironically, because this is a little different because it's something I made, but I don't personally trust me handling like anything like genuinely important, like fucking up the company kind of important from like hitting the wrong button. So glad I'm doing what I'm doing, but man, it's just I just wish it was either 4 day work week or just being able to work from home because it's just stuff I know that can be done digitally because I know exactly how that job is by now. But there's no way I can be convinced that there's no way for it to be like done digitally, like fully remote. But it's it'll never happen, which is a shame. So I gotta start looking for more work on the weekends or just something, man. Because I really want to move out. And I know I've been rambling about this for like 20 minutes now. Oh, 23 minutes, excuse me. But it's just it's just nice to talk about life sometimes every now. But oh wow, I can see the savannah from here. That's pretty. But it's just kind of lame, being at work all the time. Not gonna miss it, I'm sure, once I'm inevitably done, but that's why I kind of want to get ahead now while I still have times in terms of figuring out what to do for some kind of business. I don't. It's hard coming to terms with the fact that like to be successful, I don't necessarily like or like to be like. I'm not talking about Jeff Bezos rich or anything even like $50 million rich. I'm talking like at most like a couple million to just invest into like accounts and then just living off of the dividends until like the end of time or whatever, like that kind of stuff. And like once you have like a good amount of money into like something that produces like dividends or some kind of returns, as long as you don't live beyond your means and you're like comfortable with your lifestyle and it's a simple, honest lifestyle, then like you could retire pretty fucking quickly. Unironically, it's just getting a hold of that lump sum of money at the start is what ends up being so goddamn difficult. So once I kind of figure that out, like it's I literally know what to do. I've taken investing courses. I'm literally a fucking finance major. I know what I'm doing, or at least what to look for, and some ideas in terms of what to do with like a large lump sum of money. So I don't like touch the principal amount, but like it's getting a hold of that principal amount ends up obviously being like the hard part. But small businesses don't necessarily need to innovate on the whole industry as a whole, they might need to only have like one thing that sets them apart at most from like similar competitors. That's enough that like people would be like, yeah, I'd rather go with this guy compared to the other guy because they do X thing specifically and I really appreciate that or whatever. Whether it's like higher attention to detail, customer service, they're able to get like specific like manufacturing discounts to like lower the overall cost down or anything like that. But it's just there's got to be something that I can do with some kind of like basic capital, like 10,000, $50,000, whatever. That once I start it up, it makes enough money for me to either live off of or to invest into more of the same if people really do have increased demand for it, and just keep snowballing it until I hit a point where I'm like comfortable with the amount I'm making and start to like offset it off to as many other people as possible, you know? Like you get paid big time just for being the owner of something as well. You made it, I guess, but it just, you know, it's just there's got to be something I can do because I can't keep doing this shit forever. I don't mind working. It's just I don't want to have to work until I die. You know, like it's depressing seeing my mom who's like in her 50s and all that. She still is like struggling like massively with her finances because she never made good decisions at my age and all that. And it's like if she had, we would have been perfectly fine for a long ass time, you know, with her being older and all that, you know, you just simply had more opportunities back in like the 90s and the 80s because everything wasn't like so fucking optimized and like, you know, between technology still being like a Wild West era and just, well, like I said, everything's not optimized at that point. You could just get away with like being shitty at your job, but, you know, just having the experience makes it so like when things do inevitably get optimized, like in today's times, you have experience, so you can just be like, oh, well, I got all this experience, so I'm good to go. You know, I don't got to worry about nothing. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's just stressful having to worry about the future so much. And it's not like I necessarily have to. Like, I'm not going to get kicked out of my house or nothing here. But it's like, you know, it's not wrong to want something better, even though I'm already doing fine now. I'm doing fine as in I'm still alive, but it's like I can't even fucking use a stove or an oven. I haven't used an oven in like more than 8 months by now since I moved back in September because there's literally been no way for me to use an oven. Or there's been no way for me to use a stove either, you know? It's not wrong to want more in life, even if your life is objectively pretty much fine right now. It's just, it's only wrong if you start, you know, getting too greedy with it, but, you know, I'm asking just to have a house with fucking running water and electricity that doesn't go out once every couple of days because it feels like it. Like, it's, you know, or living in an actual building and not like a mobile home again the next 3 years, but you know, it just it happens. Shouldn't, but it does. But it's just important to keep working on it. You know, I'm trying to do literally everything right now in my life, like behind the scenes, so that way eventually I'll find something that I really like that sticks. And then I'm trying to have like kind of like a better blend of like traditional like success of like getting like a really good degree and like a really good job and all that kind of stuff, but then also a mix of like, you know, having some kind of small business to have a lot more income. And I wouldn't want it to be something like a restaurant industry or something like that. I think like again, like I think like a big thing that I need to think about a little bit more in terms of, like what is something that people want to lease but don't want to own, but they do objectively want it a lot. You know, I need to think in terms of that, for example. I think that's like a genuinely like winning idea, but it'd have to be, and I don't want it just to be fucking like rental properties for like a house or whatever. You know, I fucking, you know, if I ever did rental properties, like for like actual like housing and all that stuff, I'm want to be very specific about how I do it because I absolutely fucking despise landlords in terms of like, you know, not fucking like over like, you know, overcharging for like a lot of shit. Like when I was a kid, we lived in one house that was 550 a month, not including utilities. And it was just a basic little like 600 something square foot, I think at most 700, two bedroom, one bathroom place. Had a little extra room for the washer dryer. Had a kitchen, just a normal ass, you know, like working family kitchen, you know. And it was great because it was cheap and it was reasonable for the price. But now that same kind of place would sell for like, you know, 1,300 a month if you're lucky kind of deal, and it's just a fucking room with walls, you know. So if I ever did do rental properties, I'd want to try and keep it at like those kinds of prices where it's like it's enough to cover the land and like it's enough to cover like property taxes on the land and then net me a small profit. But we're not talking about a profit where like, we're talking about like $1,000 profit on like a $2,000 a month property. We're not talking about something ridiculous like that. I'm thinking of most, like absolute most, like 250 per property. So if it only objectively costs like 750 to like comfortably maintain and like provide for like normal landlord stuff, like fixing like anything that's broken in that house or managing it and all that kind of stuff, then I should only charge at most 1,000 for it for some kind of profit. Yeah, and that's it. Because realistically, I wouldn't need more than that if I had multiple of them. There's no sense in greed when it comes to housing. It's just dumb and stupid. I don't like people who do it. So. But there ought to be something I can do that's you know not necessarily like groundbreaking in terms of like, oh, it's some crazy new innovation that's gonna shake the market and be worth a million bajillion dollars. It's like, hey, what's something that again, people want to lease or rent but they don't want to own, and do enough people consistently want to do that, so I would have some kind of like pretty reliable income. And there's definitely something in Florida that I can't really think of at the moment, but surely it has to exist that would be worth doing. Again, boat rentals is like one thing, especially with it being post hurricane and all that, and there's a lot of damage to boats to where I could probably scoop up a nice chunk of them for a lot cheaper of a price, and then just like fix them and renovate them for a couple grand each or something like that with some help, and then just like start renting and leasing them out within a year or something like that. Like that's something that is genuinely viable and I could see myself doing. But there's got to be something else too. Like I don't. It's not quite right to me. Like I feel like I'm missing something by. So, whoops, that's a little annoying. I think it doesn't lead to guaranteed death or anything like that, but definitely don't want to fall down all the time. But we are making good progress on this cobblestone at least. It's just I gotta do something to pass the time. So ranting about how life is kind of doo-doo fart is pretty much my way of doing it for now. So, but life does inevitably get better. I just wish it didn't take until my like probably late 20s or early 30s for something to really start coming together. That's what pisses me off the most out of anything. It's just kind of ridiculous, man. The fucked up part is too. Apparently, I'm doing better than a lot of people that are my age or some fucking stupid ass shit like that. And it's like I really don't feel like I am, but apparently, if I'm doing better than like 80% of people that are my age, then like that's kind of a problem because I didn't exactly do anything that important. I got into college when I was 15 by pretty much dumb luck, like straight up. Wow, that's gonna stink. I ought to make sure I don't just let that happen. Um, just note to self in the future, don't just sit there and be like, oh, that stinks. Like, no, do something about it. But it just, oh yeah, right. There just ought to be something better I can do with my life that, can actually make me some money. It's not even, again, it's not even like talking about like a, oh, get rich quick scheme, something that I just, there's got to be some kind of niche in the market that I can hit and just actually do something with and about. Because once I get enough like money in an account, I'm set. I don't live that unmodestly. I'm fine working if I need to for a little bit of extra money to offset. I just don't want to have to like work all the time, 24/7 to fucking meet rent. Again, that always ends up being the worst part, man. Is just hitting rent. Like if I just didn't have to worry about rent, I would have already been living by myself at $15 an hour, 30 hours a week, 35 hours a week. I would have been fine. But it's because I have to pay rent is where we get issues because, owning property is fucking stupid. And then all the cheap property in Florida, this far down south, is all fucking retirement communities. So there's a heavy, heavy bias towards only accepting people that are 55 and over. And it is the most frustrating shit every time. Because I'm not asking to live in a mansion. I'm asking for a place with four walls and a roof and like a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom. If at worst I can just put my fucking desk with my computer in my bedroom, or just turn a living room into a fucking like office, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I'm asking for the bare minimum, and I still can't afford it, even with getting something like 25 an hour, 40 hours. It's just dumb. It's just annoying. But I'll make it out one day. Hopefully, I'm alive that long. That is. But yeah, being a business owner in any capacity apparently ends up being like pretty much the only good way out in this day and age, and also getting like stupid lucky on like the stock market. It's just once you have like a large enough like nest egg, you can be a lot more comfortable with taking risks that would be like a lot more profitable if you're like are willing to accept that risk, you know. But as it stands, you know, if you've got no savings account, you're barely living paycheck to paycheck kind of deal. You don't have a chance to save, or like one accident wipes out your whole savings account, then it's like, you know, you can't take any kind of risk that might better your life, like leaving your job to go get a better job, or like things like that. You know, it's just I don't even worry about healthcare or nothing at least right now. But you know, I'm gonna have to at some point. But I'm just tired of being stuck in this house and this in a house again. It's being nice. I live in a fucking trailer, man. But get out of it one day. Again, sorry, it's kind of been a rant, but imagine. Hello, how you doing? Imagine liking to sleep couldn't be me, except all the time when I'm usually tired. Oh, I did actually sleep. Okay, it was still raining at night, wasn't it? Finally, I think almost nope, because that's actually the layer I have to build on, so I need to go down another 3 blocks or so before I can start using dirt again. Again, there's still some progress though. At least that's good. But it's just gonna be more kind of wiping away just this cobblestone like lava cast. You know, rid of this stuff so I can start building. And then of course I'll have to get down to there. I'm thinking today I can do that layer, maybe that layer, and then we start getting into like the bottom like 3 layers. So that'll be pretty interesting to try and accomplish. But you know, we'll see how that goes. I also ought to wipe away that old like mountain part there, but we'll see about that. The wireframing's coming along fairly well. I'm gonna try and bulge it out a lot more on this layer, just because like I really want like the top of it to be like a little bit more like peaky, and then at the bottom part it's a lot more like flat and like you know got like a much more shallow angle. But as you start kind of climbing up, you get like these nicer like steep angles mixed in a lot more. And then at the very top layer, I know that one's a lot more shallow as I just talked about it being peaky, but like the very top layer on like the flat grass up there is gonna have like a lot more like serious peaks, so I can probably blend it a little bit better once I kind of start getting that figured out. But we'll obviously that's way out in the future. I don't have to worry about that for right now. Always good to plan ahead a little bit, you know. But yeah, this is the second week I started streaming again in a while, so I'm glad I'm actually serious about sticking to the schedule. Somewhat of a schedule, or something, but you know, it's taken a while to get back into doing. But now with this new PC and all that, I don't actually have to worry about it as much anymore. I can actually start editing videos now once I kind of learn how to do any of that, but of course that'll take some time on its own, and I'm not that interested in editing like right this very second. I do want to in the near future, I just don't want to do it right this very second when it comes to like single player stuff or anything like that. So I'd rather just wait until I, you know, get comfortable at drawing first, and then I can start looking to like picking up extra hobbies. I'm trying to make sure I limit myself on trying to do too much because I keep having a bad habit of trying to tackle too much at once. So then I end up doing nothing at all. Or I'll do a little bit of everything for too long and then I'll stop doing everything. It ends up being a bit of a problem. So, but yeah, 1.20 that'll be cool. Want cherry blossoms? I think they'll look very pretty up way at the top, but you know that's pretty much the only thing I'm really looking forward to. Camels are neat, but I told me that interesting. What else is there? Chisel bookshelves are neat, I guess, again for decoration, but I don't exactly decorate a lot, so it's not that important to me again. But it'll be a cool update, I think, for what it's worth. But mainly the cherry blossoms. That's all I really want. The trees are cool. The wood ought to be at least cool to use once ever, especially the logs. I think the logs look very nice. Planks are just planks, but the actual like unstripped logs are pretty cool. And I ought to make like a proper, not like a fully automatic tree farm, but just the basic little like water pad ones where you've got like the dirt and like floating in the center, so you can plant the saplings, and then you've got a whole pool of water that flushes down to one area, so you can just focus on cutting the tree and replanting, and then all the saplings, like all the leaves, like decay over time and all that shit. So I want to try doing something like that, but I would rather focus on getting this done first. And at some point, I want to look into redoing all of the farms again, but again, that's something that I've decided I'll do way out in the future, probably once I've actually gotten like my base done, which is gonna take a while. Spoiler alert, like a very, very long time to ever even get close to saying, yeah, my base is comfortably done. The actual like small, I guess, starter base, for lack of a better term, that I'm living in now on that island is pretty much good. You know, there's still decoration I would want to do and all that, and there's still things I need to tear down and rebuild. But overall, I think it's pretty solid. But you know, there's still mostly like decoration stuff I'd have to do to like say, yeah, I could be confident in saying this is done, so I can work on the base. But I kind of just want this fucking mountain first, and then I can start doing stuff like that, or at least the wireframe of it. You know, like I get all the wireframing first, and then I can start working on like my full actual base again. We're out of space for cobble, so we'll just go ahead and dump this back up real quick. Fucking, so we'll just go ahead and dump this off, and then I'm still crouching, right? Here we go. Got enough dirt in there to do something. How to have dirt, I guess. And then right, and then we can start again. There we go. Leave one extra empty slot just because I can. And also a good thing I did because I need to pack this up for now. And I need to leave 2 slots because of course I do. Like 3. We're gonna pack away a decent chunk of this just for the moment. Because what's gonna end up happening is I'm gonna tear out this old grass, an old mossy cobble, until I get back to the this point up here. The reason we're backing up to this point here is because I'm gonna have to kind of like expand it like out and around a lot more. Not too much out and around. I don't know. It's kind of odd. I think the same thing will inevitably happen here, so I can't afford to like cross over this. So we'll just worry about with this layer for now, and I can always readjust later on for the bottom one. Especially too, because there's a lot more distance between that one and that. So I should be. So we'll just go ahead and carve out a ton of this. I'm not that worried about reclaiming it since it's like at most like a stack of mossy cobble, and it's mossy cobble. I mean, it's not super hard to get a hold of. I got a ton of cobblestone. I got a ton of. I think I'm fine. But we'll go ahead and do something like this, and then we'll just kind of start kind of going long and thin all the way around, and then try and meet back up at the spine. But let me double check and see. So I want this layer, that layer, that layer. I finished the layer I was on. Oh, nope, just kidding. We want that layer, and that layer. So that's actually 3 layers we're doing here today. Technically 3.5 since I did wrap up the other one that I left from last week, but I think realistically we'll be able to get this and this one done. And then we'll only have to do this one down here. Like these really fat ones are actually near the very bottom, so we'll be able to get this one done, and hopefully this one done on Sunday, because that means I'll have all the wire framing all completely done and dusted, which is a big deal because then that means I can start filling in more of like the vertical strips and all that. So that way I make like a kind of grid-like pattern, and then we can start like adjusting it like individually from there and actually filling in the space. So we're getting there. It's taken a long ass time for sure, like a stupid crazy amount of time, but I am actually getting there. So it is taking a while though, but it is gonna get done at some point. I'm looking forward to it. I like the wheat field more. I wanna expand it out more into the land at some point, but I'm probably gonna have to regress like most, if not all of it, just because of the fact this mountain is definitely gonna get in the way of like most of that field. which is fine, but I don't want it to cut into it too much, but I know it's gonna cut into it at some point, so I have to start kind of thinking about that in the back of my mind for now. Yeah, I guess back to building here really quickly, so we're just gonna go ahead and just fucking go for it. No, do whatever is right in my heart or something like that, so fucking figure it out. Oh yeah, pro tip to building shit like this. I have no idea what I'm doing. If you want to ask for specific advice, by all means go for it. Just understand, you know, you're asking a clown how to join the circus. You're not, you know, not a good idea. Well, I guess no, because they are a fucking expert on it. But don't do it. Is my main point. I'm gonna have no idea what I'm talking about. Take everything I say when it comes to this shit with a grain of salt, not like a boulder, but you know. Probably doing something right to an extent, but I couldn't exactly tell you what specifically because I simply don't know. So, and we want to kind of go all the way out here for this one. So, oh my god, this thing's gonna be so fucking massive. We're actually gonna clip into the mainland over here. That's gonna be really weird. Not really weird from like a merging it with the mainland kind of thing. That's not what I'm referring to. Just more that like this the sheer scale this mountain is going to be so big that is an actual real thing that is going to happen. Because again, you're talking about like that's where I made the rough wire work, like for like the lava cast ages ago, and you can just see the distance between there and there is fucking big. And now it's like this mountain is gonna like probably enclose that entire like shattered savanna like peak looking thing we got going on there, which is just insane to think about. Just the sheer scale of this thing. Again, I get all my materials by hand. We don't do duplication. We don't do fucking even like TNT duplication. I don't do anything like that. It's all gathered by hand, manually. There's no fucking like time skips like in a YouTube video. I stream literally everything. And anytime I don't stream something, it's because it's a world tour with friends, so I'm very specific to point that out once it happens. But it's like when it is a world tour with friends, I like go out of my way to make sure I don't do anything important. I'm just touring because I don't want to actually do anything important without like showing it, even if it is something like mundane as this. Because I think it's important to be able to show all this stuff off because it's cool, especially cool to look back on. None of this will ever get shortened down into a video or anything like that, but maybe it will one day. I really doubt it though, but who knows? I certainly don't. I think that's a pretty good and fat bulge image. That's good. Alright, start turning here. But yeah, you can even start to see the water ravine. Man, that's gonna be nuts though. The having to update the world map in my base to accommodate all this stuff is gonna be insane. In fact, there's even a chance. I'm not even a chance. I'm pretty sure it's practically a guarantee at this point that this land will connect to this mountain 100%. But that land that I was prepping will connect to this mountain too. So both of these islands will be connected by some massive, crazy ass mountain because fuck it, why not, right? But it's just gonna be cool. It's something that takes time to build and all that kind of stuff, and it's still gonna be a long journey. But I think this weekend at least I'll be able to like get the horizontal framework of it done, so that way I can start doing a little bit more. But I'm never too sure about these things, so we'll see how it goes. A little bit hard seeing the shadows here, so let me see something. I think there was a video setting I ended up changing some time ago that changed the like if I turn smooth lighting off, right? Are the shadows more aggressive? Not particularly, no. Turn it back on. I'm gonna see what fucking chunk builder full blocking does. Oh yeah, there's text scroll now for that. That's why that's really awkward to see and look at. I've never messed with that setting before, the chunk block. Wow, that shit renders suspiciously weird. That's cool. Um, But I'm gonna eventually start poking around in my video settings in Minecraft a little bit more because I don't know what's going on in them, and I'd like to see if I can make some of these shadows a little bit more aggressive. So I use them as guidelines with each other, so that way I know how far to space out certain things. But of course, it kind of depends on what's going on. But you can see how like much of like a kind of a smoother slope this is going to be. Like this is like a lot more of a shallow angle compared to like that one's a decent bit steeper. That one there to up there is really steep. So having a nice shallow one here is going to be pretty good to have. So it'll be neat. But a lot of mountain building is just doing the same repetitive structures over and over, like the same patterns. I learned a decent chunk of what I know from just building like that big ass sphere that's way out in the distance, in terms of like patterns to like make like curves. So a lot of it is mathematical and all that, and just having like a basic like graph. But then you also learn from like YouTube tutorials about how to like you basically want to make it like somewhat mathematical, but you want to like fuck up intentionally every now and then and just kind of like eyeball it, so that way there is some natural variation in what you're doing. Because the worst part of a mountain is having it look too artificial. So it's better to just throw in like variation and like curve and things like that. Not all the time, but you want to do it a pretty fair bit of time. I see that one's like a really long stretch, so start toning it back a little bit here. And again, I want to kind of roughly stick with the same. I want to stick with those same kind of shape along these lines. I just don't want to stick with the same like girth in between them. So it's like I could have picked a better word other than girth, but I can't seem to think of any right now. So we're gonna roll with that. But main point is I could have made different decisions that would have probably been a little bit better. But that's the beauty of it, baby. It's just literally just figure it out. Figure it out as you go along. Make shit up as you go, and some will stick at some point. Or actually physically building out the terrain will end up like helping you. Ah, it's fucked up. More dirt. Actually, like physically building the terrain, not just the wireframes, will end up like fixing a lot of like certain mistakes and all that. And again, these bottleneck points will add like more natural variation to it, or just some kind of variation. So that's why I don't mind having them in, as long as they don't happen all the time. They can happen a little bit. They just can't happen all the time. But a lot of like these kind of curves are like pattern based to an extent, where like do a stretch of 3, do a stretch of 3, do a stretch of 3, and then once it's kind of like plateaued enough, then you start doing like a stretch of 4 to make it like even flatter. And then you do another stretch of 4, then you do a stretch of 5, and then now if I wanted to start turning in a little bit here, I would go from a stretch of 5 to another stretch of 5, and then back to 4, and then back to 5, and then back to 4, and then from here on start using 4s and 3s to start easing into it. Then there's a 4, there's a 3, there's a 3, there's another 3, there's a 2, there's a 3 again, and then I start easing into 2s. Then we ease into more 2s, that's a 3. Then always have like enough extras so you're not like worrying about like dropping shit. Now there's going to be a massive bulge in between these parts, so I really need to start I need to kind of hone it in a little bit here. We start going into 1s here. Then we can start going into 2s, 1, 2, and then from here on it's 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and just kind of, we want to play catch up basically with what we've got going on down there, so I guess up there technically, but now we want to start elongating a little bit more here, and then switch into the 4s, then the 5s. And then a lot of it is just mental counting, so now we're doing 6s, so a lot of it's just being able to count it mentally. Now you can see how like ahead we're going to start bottlenecking and we're going to cut it really close. Now we want to go back into 5s here and then start getting ready to curve outwards towards the ocean again. So then we do a 5, and then we kind of want to do a fairly aggressive one, so we'll do a 4, another 4, then a 3, and a 3, and a 2, and then we go back to 3, and then we start doing 2s from there on. Branch into 1, and then 2, 2, and then we start doing 1s from here on. And then we can start doing these kinds of 2s, and then we slip in a 1 every now and then. Start going into only 2s again. Go into 3s. 3, and then we want to start easing back into 2s here. And 1 and 2, and then 1, and then 1, 1, 1. And then we want to start being pretty aggressive with like plateauing out and then getting ready to start curving inwards a little bit. Probably once we get to about that point is when we're going to start curving inwards, so we can leave like this weird like misshapen like bulge in place. And then I also have to start thinking about what I do over there. But you can just kind of, you see how like look at the fucking beauty of this curve, dude. Look at how like smooth it is, you know. These ones are a little bit more jagged because I was trying to like focus too hard on like maintaining like that top structure there. But like you see how like smooth this fucking curve is, and then it smoothens and plateaus back out. And then that one's a bit sharper than I would like ideally, but again, it adds variation, so it's not like the end of the world or nothing. But and then when it comes to these ridiculously big bulges, right? There is just going to be times where it's going to be awkward to have mountainous terrain there because it's going to be too steep. It's going to be too shallow or too steep. So those are the parts where you'd want to embrace the shallowness or steepness and add in like proper like landscape variation. So we're talking like a really cool tree or like a structure or 3 or something like that for like a small little like isolated village for like 2 villagers or whatever. But again, this curve is really fucking smooth, so that's like actually like really fucking good looking. Not gonna lie, but no, it's just that kind of like idea of building where there's basic patterns you can follow to make these super fucking smooth curves that are really good for wireframing shit like this, but you don't have to stick to them to a T after a certain point, or even at all for that matter. But it does help to kind of get an idea of like how big something is going to be or what you're actually doing. So, you know, having a nice goal is always nice to have. Don't be afraid to like change with the times as it happens. So, I'm gonna do something like that just to stretch it out. Now, these really long ones are when you would want to start like turning inside again, so you start moving in a little bit more. That's why these long ones are done the way they are. So as you kind of get to like the end point of like or like the edge of like a like the sphere, for example, you know, as you start kind of getting to like the edge of like the north, south, east, or west, or whatever, you get to the northernmost point, it flattens out, it becomes this long straight line, and then it goes in a slightly shorter but still pretty long lines, then slightly like the same size, and then slightly shorter, and then you start dipping back into your 2s and 1s that are used for actually making like the curves. These are just more for like easing into stuff a lot more for again like that kind of like basic graph like pattern. And that's another really good piece of advice I guess I should mention is like if you're trying to build a mountain, maybe don't think of it so much in like a 3D sense where you overwhelm yourself at once. But like what I'm doing here with the shadows has actually helped me out a lot mentally with it, like really well, where I'm just kind of looking at the distance between them and trying to keep the curves roughly intact. And then I can basically just do the same thing vertically later on to connect up my endpoints. And then I'll basically have like this kind of grid of shit to fill in with just terraforming, you know? But this kind of wireframing is still really useful and not super hard to do. And that's all it is a wireframe. You're under no obligation to like stick with it. You know, if you something you think if you think there's a better way you can do it as you're building it, then just do it. You know, it's just a good reference to be able to do stuff with is all. Now I'm gonna start building in 5s here for a little bit, just so that way I can kind of start closing the gap a little bit more between that and that. I probably don't want to go too overboard, but I do need to start closing a bit more aggressively. So, I'm gonna have to get more dirt here soon, though. I know I'm almost out here, and then I've got barely anything left in my shulker box, so you know what that'll mean. I have to go all the way back out to one of these other islands, clean everything out. I think I had a specific dirt quarry like way out in the distance, well, not far in the distance, but far enough. But I do have to start mining dirt again. I'm gonna need like shulker boxes, this stuff too, so we're gonna get slowed down pretty heavily by that bottleneck. While it's not too difficult to like amass like a super large amount of dirt, it's just it still takes up my time, and I would rather not have my time taken up right now because I'm on kind of like a good flow. But it has to happen. I mean, you can't build a mountain without materials, you know. I think we're gonna get really close to cutting into the Guardian farm, and for context, this is the actual farm bit. This is more just the where they go to die bit, so we don't have to really worry about that for right now. But there probably has to be a better way to enclose it and like light up the framework just to make sure nothing weird gets on there or near there. But it shouldn't be impossible or anything. Just something to keep an eye out for. Now we don't want to start using too many threes here because you can see how sharp this bend is going to be. So we're going to kind of use one more three here and start bending in with our twos and a little bit of threes just to kind of ease it in a little bit more. And we start going with our twos a lot more here. And then we'll mix in a one here in a second. So we'll mix in a one here, and then we'll mix in another two, another two, and then a one, a one. And then we start mixing in our ones here a lot more so we can actually cover more distance the other way. And we can mix in a two, and then a one, and then another two, a one. Mix in our twos again, our threes, our fours, and a three, and we'll go fours from here on. Now you can see again how we're on par to just cut into there, so now we want to start mixing in one more four. I'll be able to clear that, yeah, okay. And we'll go in for a three. Go in for more threes. And we'll mix in a two, and then start going to twos. And we'll start going into ones. Be a little bit more aggressive with this, just so that way we kind of stay out of the way. Here we go. And you can see we'll be able to clear like that peak there, so we can just kind of keep flattening out a little bit more. We're gonna have to start thinking about the inevitable issue up here, because we're not at the same height, so we're gonna have to actually probably head over to the other side and start bringing it upwards, which is not gonna happen because, well, I'm kind of out of dirt. I really don't have any left, so we're gonna have to take a small little break from that and just go get more dirt. I guess at least while I'm thinking about it, we can kind of get rid of this cobble here, just so that way, you know, we can at least have something to build on, or so we don't have to flatten it out later, rather. Something. Then our edge is here, so then we want to go ahead and start bringing this out a little bit. That. But basically, we're going to have to curve out and up a little bit, and then we'll just kind of meet it up at some point. And then make it up as I go along, pretty. And then this was an old like variant of the lava cast I was working on because I was basically gonna make like these kind of like plus shaped ones at first, and then fill in the gaps for some kind of mountains. And then it turns out that mountains I did want to make were like gonna be significantly bigger scale. So these weren't even like to scale anymore. Big, and they're just here for no reason, honestly. Oh yeah, and these are also like super fucking mob ridden like all the time because this is pretty much the only place. Like these are the only places that shit can spawn at because I've completely spawn proofed my entire like living island and all that. Like it's spawn proofed above ground, below ground. It's isolated. All the land around it too is completely spawn proofed as well. So you just end up with like massive amounts of shits tucked away in these lava casts. So I'm gonna have to. That's why I built that mob switch too, to an extent, is so that way when I just turn it on, I can just safely go in and clear out a ton of the lava casts, light them up, and then like keep whittling away at them over enough time. But we're out of dirt. That's not cool. I need more. So what we're gonna do is just go ahead and fly on back. Maybe go grab some extra shulker boxes from up here, wherever they might be. Probably up a little bit more, it seems. Here we go. And we'll just go ahead and load in the like cobblestone, for example. This shit can just go away. And then fucking that can. So it's out of my way. Oh right, yeah. We'll just throw that shit in there. I kind of want the grass one, just because it's grass and it's empty pretty much. So we'll take that. It's just grass. And none of these are really usable. Cool. So we're gonna have to take the ender chest back here with me. And then we're gonna go grab another like 4 empty shulker boxes. I think that should be enough. So we'll swing on back down here. Grab 4 of them. All these are filled with stuff, or partially filled to where they're annoying, so we don't get anything out of this, obviously. But could have a couple. Yeah, okay. Grab 4 of these. I'd have stocked this up with more at some point, but I would need to clean all these out, and then I can do that. But not really clean these out. A lot of these are the same stuff because I'm actually organizing finally. It's just I need to actually sit down and like pick through all this stuff and like put the cobble deep slate with the cobble deep slate and the stone with the stone and shit like that. So it's simple little stuff like that, but it does need to be done. But yeah, I should have like 4 netherite shovels I think I can use, so we'll have enough to go without having to go back to the guardian farm for some time. I don't gotta worry about it too much, but somewhere out here in this distance, yeah, I picked apart that whole island. I'm gonna eventually wipe it off the face of the earth completely, like get rid of all this stone, and then just like submerge it so it's part of the ocean again. But all of the pretty much all this used to be dirt, and there were like dirt veins, and they're all gone now. Um, Same with this one too. There's minimal amounts of dirt left over, and then I started breaching into this one here, which this one I think will be pretty cool to inevitably do something with. Not very useful at all to do anything with this land, but I think it'll be interesting because of how weirdly, like, kind of close to the old village it is, and so I'll actually be able to access this stuff by, like, foot. I want to make this into, like, inevitably some kind of, like, stupid, like, fucked up, like, desecrated land for some, like, industrial-looking village or city or whatever, like a proper, like, city that's just, like, picked away, like, all the dirt and grass and all the life, like, out of it, but just that way I don't have to, like, place anything back ever. Oh, hey, I've even got a double chest left over. What was in here? Oh, empty shulker boxes. That's good to know. Man, I'm so smart. I'm glad I plan ahead 8 months into the future all the time. Wow, I haven't been back here in a while. I'm still here, but yeah, it's just oh, was I cooking up in here too? I was. Oh, I heard a zombie down there, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, we're just gonna destroy. That's it. Just destroy. So we'll just go ahead and pop down a shulker boxer 8 here. Go ahead and place down what I can. That's enough to get started.
And then basically, if it's dirt and grass, out it goes. If it's not, it can just stay there. Even the floating trees, because I think they're cool. Not really cool, I just really don't give a fuck, and I won't really them for a while. I have no incentive to, like at all. There's no benefit to getting rid of them, and they're not really in my way or nothing, so I can afford to just kind of leave them in place for right now. Yep, gonna do. Oh, I wish you could shift click these. Well, I guess it's better that you can't, but I wish you could kind of like shift click them in your inventory. That way you wouldn't have to do this really quickly. It's inevitable that I'm gonna fall into a cave again, so I'd at least like to try an MLG water bucket, so I don't just waste totems for wasting totems. And it's good practice when I inevitably do another like shieldless totemless world, but that one will be offline, so I can just edit it in the videos and stuff like that at some point. But you know, we're doing a little bit of cleaning out here, a little bit of extra dirt and stuff. Oh yeah, we're gonna be here for a while, just getting dirt and grass. I guess get comfy because it's gonna take a while. It always does. I need a lot of hits, so I'll have to break out another couple of netherite shovels. I think they should be at full durability, but I can't remember. If not, it's no big deal. I can just go get them repaired at the Guardian Farm in like 2 minutes, so it don't matter. Got the cat, he's sleeping on my bed. Look at him go. What a funny little guy. Out of space already, so we'll just kind of keep harvesting here. Clean out a nice, respectable chunk like that. Although there's nothing respectable about it, I suppose, but... Oh yeah, then also that, we got a mine shaft down there, and a fairly gnarly looking cave, but not like I'll ever do anything down there with those, it's just something to be cautious of. And who knows, maybe there is something down there that's worth having one day, but that day ain't today, that's for sure, so... But yeah, we'll go ahead and slap that down. I can place down a little bit more of these. And go. And then it's back to stealing. That's what this is just stealing, so, you know, that's good and cool. Take all the dirt we can. Oh, but I guess while I'm still thinking about it, at work, you know, I've talked about getting that raise and that promotion before. They're not quite in effect yet, but I've been pretty much guaranteed that they will be happening once we, like, get the first incentive out to, like, employees and all that, which shouldn't be more than, like, about a month here. Because he wants it fully up and running by May 1st. And since pretty much most of the actual, like, startup work that I've been doing is done, he's just been swinging it by the, my boss has been swinging it by the CEO and all that kind of stuff to ask for his feedback, what he wants changed and all that kind of stuff. And now we're whittling it down so there's, like, less and less changes each time, and then at some point he'll eventually not have any changes to recommend, or want. And then once we hit that point, then it's pretty much golden, and then it's just figuring out a workflow of, like, we know when things need to be due. It's just getting a workflow that, like, I can kind of fall into some kind of routine in and, like, know what I should be looking for to make sure it's done correctly. And then once we get that, I even went out and built a custom little tool in Excel to, like, handle, like, all the payroll stuff better and all that. So basically, I made this little internal tool for each worksheet that, like, logs, like, all the money that's supposed to go out to people in, like, a super simple, like, way. So that way I don't actually have to do any of the math at all. And basically, I just take what I'm given from, like, the supervisor and all that stuff. They sign off on it. I check with my boss that the information is accurate.
He confirms it on like the 10th of the month, and then I have 10 days to like process it on my end and get it ready to hand off the payroll who actually like gives the money. And that's it. So that's pretty much the habit I would be falling into is, by the 10th of every month, I have all my paperwork turned in by like the supervisors for the incentive, and then I have 10 days to gather all the supporting documentation on it and like, all that kind of stuff. And then once it's all gathered and it's all like secured, I can just, get it approved by my boss saying, yep, all right, this looks good. And then I prepare it to hand off to payroll. They pay the checks. That's it. That's all I'll be doing pretty much. And then other stuff is, I guess, as I'm assigned it. But like, this is like the hardest part is getting it set up. But once it is set up, dude, it's easy money. Like even now, I already don't do anything at work other than this, and like when I do this, I only really takes me a little bit of time to do, and then otherwise I sit there and just mind my own business and like talk with like my coworker about just stuff, and then I wait for my boss to come in and inevitably check on how things are going. I give him the whole spiel about what I'm working on. It works out. I get paid for sitting there and doing nothing for about 5 out of my 7 hours on any given day. I've had maybe a week's worth of days, so about 5 to 10 days at most since I've been working here, where I've actually had to work more than 4 hours a day. I like actually sit down and work, and not just like, like I do a bunch of boring, monotonous shit in the meantime, but like, that's super easy work for me, and that clogs up my calendar in a nice way. So it's like it's not hard work; it's just fucking boring, and they know it's gonna take a while, and I know it's gonna take a while. So basically, I don't have to like have critical thinking for 3 weeks, and I just get to sit there and collect a paycheck for doing boring, monotonous shit, which is cool. That's something people would pay money for, is having someone to do shit that like is boring and monotonous, but not quite boring and monotonous enough to where it can't be outsourced to like any kind of automated AI. So that's cool, or not easily or cheaply. Like it would just be cheaper just to hire like someone to do this, and then there's no like confusion about how it works or anything like that. It's just, hey, can you do this? I'll show you how to do it the first couple of times, and otherwise you're on your own for the next 2,000 odd times you have to do it. And it's like, okie dokie, you got it. And that's just free money for me at that point. Because, hey, guess what I'm doing right now? Stupid, easy, monotonous work. That's cool. That's what I was doing for weeks, building that sphere and digging up all the sand and gravel and like all the red terracotta for that sphere. And building this mountain is all boring and monotonous without much critical thinking. It's just, I can be a critical thinker when I want to be. It's just I don't want to have to be, because that will inevitably wear me out more often than not. And it's free paycheck, like I talked about. So I mean, you know, critical thinking is obviously important. I just don't want it to be like all I do in terms of like, I have to be like super focused day in and day out. Otherwise, I won't get enough done and I'll risk losing my job. And I don't really care that it only pays 15 an hour, because it's gonna pay 17 an hour soon, and I'm working 35 hours a week, so it's like a pretty decent chunk of money, all things considered, for Florida. Just again, man, if I could just get rid of the rent problem that I have. If I could just not have to pay rent because I own the fucking property and I own the land that it's on, so I only have to pay like property taxes instead of like HOA fees. Oh my god, dude, I would have been moved out ages ago, but now can't have nice things, man. It's just ugh. I don't even want like a fucking house. I just want something that's like a fucking like wall. I want 4 walls and a roof and like basic necessities. I don't necessarily care about square footage size because I own so little, because I had to downsize literally everything. I kind of don't have a real need or desire for more, like when it comes to like, I guess, material wealth. In terms of things that take up a lot of space, like my mom still holds on to like all of her clothes and has like more than a closet's worth of clothes, so then it leaks into my room, and like her whole room is just filled with clothes, not even just her closet. But me, I've only got like enough to fit into like this small ass wardrobe, so I make it count, and then I physically can't think of anything more I would want out of it, so I'm content with what I have when it comes to clothes or like food or things like that. So it cuts down on costs a lot too by kind of being oh, what's the word? Thrifty's not quite the word. Um, Responsible is not the word I'm thinking of either, but I think it's the one I'm gonna have to go with. I guess being more aware of what's in my closet, like knowing, like being honest with myself that, hey, I know I don't wear this shit that often or ever.
so it needs to get sold or thrown out or donated or whatever. I don't need it, so I shouldn't have it in my closet. That's another thing too. It's like, unless there's like a very specific, like a suit, like I have like a suit, tie, and dress pants and all that kind of stuff. And even though I only wear that every once in a fucking blue moon, when I do need it, I need it. So, because I would rather not rent that kind of shit. Um, but it's a good thing that like that's like the only exception. That and like dress shoes are like the only exceptions. So like things that I pretty much would never wear, but I still want in my closet, anyways. Or certain things like well, sweaters aren't really a thing down here. Florida and all, high temperature, all the time. It's never winter for long if it is ever winter. So not that big of a deal. But I guess that's another big thing too about when it comes to being happy in this day and age. When it comes to possessions or just living comfortably without having to like have like $30 million a year in income or whatever the fuck. It's just being honest with yourself about what you really need. You can't save your way out of poverty. It can help, but obviously, like straight up not making enough money will never like get you out of anything. But you know, having those good spending habits, or I guess lack of spending, is obviously going to help you out. Make sure you minimize your debt, all that kind of shit. But just normal run of the mill financial stuff like that is always going to help you out, no matter how much money you ever don't have. But it's okay to admit that you're not going to ever make enough money to like do anything, or not necessarily do anything, but I guess my main point is just try and live comfortably without having to spend a whole bunch of money for it. And don't cheap out on fucking everything. That ends up being some of the worst things I think I've ever seen or dealt with my mother. If she cheaps out on the wrong shit all the time. Like my phone is something I've had for 4 years now, because the only reason I got a new one is I dropped my old one and broke the screen too severely, and I just needed a new one anyways at that point, because it had already been like 3.5 or 4 years since that one, so it just didn't matter. But pay a lot of money for certain things that you're gonna get good value out of, like for a very long time. Like I was serious about like the PC parts I got the first time, so that's why I spent a decent chunk of money. Well, I was limited by a budget then, so I tried to make it count, and I tried to like cut certain costs that I knew I could personally make up, like labor. Now, I built my first PC by myself, so I could afford to spend more money on like actual parts, shopped around on Amazon, whatever. But even nowadays, with the current PC I got, now that money's not as much of an issue, I made sure to go all out on like on the actual component part without going to like super overkill. Like I didn't get like a Threadripper for like $8,000. I got like a Ryzen 9 5900 for like 340, because it's pretty much the best or second. I think technically it's like the second best AM4 like chip CPU that can be bought, because now they're starting to use AM5 or LGA sockets even nowadays. They're starting to get away from that. That's the best one I can get for now. I know that DDR5 is kind of fucking stupid, so I'm just sticking with DDR4 right now. But I know I'm going to be using this PC for a lot, and it's going to save me a lot of money for things like entertainment costs and all that kind of stuff. So I would rather spend a lot of money on this now, so that way I don't have to like have like a fucking Hulu subscription or like some kind of like entertainment subscription later on, or feel like I have to go spend money at like the movie theater to enjoy my life, or like all these video games or anything like that. Spend one upfront cost now so I can cut out as many subscriptions as possible, so that way I don't have to like keep doing that forever. Subscriptions, wow, do I not like them? That's what rent is too, fun fact, is a subscription. If it's a fucking monthly debt that you have to keep paying for now until the end of time practically, it's a subscription. Cable's a subscription, rent is a subscription, food technically, according to my own definition, is a subscription. Might not be thought of one historically, but like objectively you know it in your heart to be true, because it's simply a cost you can't cut, where you can only spend it like once and then you're good forever. You have to buy every month, every week, all that kind of stuff, and that's all right. You want to minimize those kinds of like monthly or weekly recurring debts to be like food and like things you cannot avoid, like utility. You can't avoid paying utilities unless you've got solar power and you've got like enough of it where you don't have to go off of like FPL's grid or anything like that. That's a utility you can avoid. If you somehow have your own water system for all of your own plumbing or whatever, yeah, okay, sure, that's a utility you can avoid with like one big upfront cost. Fine, whatever, but
realistically, for pretty much anyone, that's almost never going to happen. So it's, it just is how it is. Taxes, obviously, like property taxes, is something you're never going to be able to dodge no matter what, because it's cheaper than having like an HOA fee by not owning the property. So it's something you'd rather would just have. Um, but like rent, you can cut out entirely by owning the building. Car payment, you can cut out by owning the car. You'll never be able to cut out gasoline, but if you go to electric, you can probably cut out the electric cost from like solar. But I wouldn't. No, I want electric. I want an electric car like way later on in life, but that's the thing. I want it later on in life, even assuming the money wouldn't be a problem. I want it later because like they're fine for now, but they're still pretty expensive. And then like there's just not enough infrastructure support for them, so it's better to not have them at the moment. Still think they're the way to go, though. Don't get me wrong, but just man, dude, it's just that it's always these startup costs with them in terms of like actually getting a hold of the car, and then lack of infrastructure really fucking hurts. So you can't comfortably like know that you've got like a gas station or a charging station around the corner. There's no charging station around the corner like there is for gas stations, you know. And until that inevitably happens, charge time itself doesn't matter to me. It's just, being able to actually charge at all, like comfortably without having to worry about, oh, how far away is the nearest electric charging station or whatever. That's, kind of important. So, and sorry, it's kind of a bit more of a ramble again, but it's kind of what I do here. So, it is what it is. But it's just the big thing, is trying to be an adult in this day and age now is just cut out as much debt as possible. I hate loans. The only reason I went to college at all was because I got it paid for by something or someone, and by someone I meant the government every time. Mainly, I got the Bright Future Scholarship, so it covered 100% of my college tuition, and like my housing was covered by my mom, all that kind of stuff. If she didn't cover that, I probably wouldn't have gone because I straight up fucking refused to buy into like the idea of credit or like loans. I just no. I will almost certainly never take out a credit card, and if I do, it will solely be to build credit. Like I'll spend like $20 on it once and then immediately pay it off because it simply is not worth having credit or any kind of like debt ever, and I'm not gonna buy into that at all. The only exception being if I genuinely made some kind of like startup that needed that kind of capital, and I know it would be successful and it wouldn't be more of a risk as it would be a guarantee that it would turn off some kind of money. And I had a good plan in place. That's when I would take like some kind of loan for like a small business. But in terms of like for like a mortgage for a house or fucking car payment or a car loan or whatever, because auto loans are really fucking aggressive with their APR. That's how they get you nowadays. Is the shitty fucking loans that they have. I want to avoid those as long as possible for my whole life if I can help it, which I'm confident I am going to help it because otherwise I simply just will just get a used car or something like that. But it's just, cut out as much debt as you can and understand that there is going to have to be like some like things that you have to pay monthly and all that. It's just inevitable. But if you can minimize those to like an extreme degree, you'll be fine. Budgeting won't be that hard at that point, and then you'll be able to put away a lot more of your money to start saving for an earlier retirement or an actually like more financially stable retirement. But otherwise, it's just, I'm trying to make sure I don't spend like any money per month. Like the only like recurring payment I have right now is car insurance. I used to pay for Coursera Plus, but I've kind of stopped doing that while I'm working on my real estate license here. So it's pretty much just been working on fucking real estate for now. And then once I feel more comfortable and I'm a lot happier with what's going on, I'll probably go back to doing Coursera Plus way out in the future. But it's just not a necessity. So, but yeah, cutting out all these monthly payments ends up saving like a lot of money in the long run. So it's better to try and do that early before you become too reliant on anything. But it's just it's pretty much the only good thing is, again, like rent, all your money gets taken up by rent every month. So if you can somehow cut that out and be honest about how you live in terms of like what you truly need to live in terms of like the size of your house or, the quality of your car or things like that, then like you can afford to be like a good bit cheaper on rent. Again, fuck rent. I'm over it. I don't want to lease shit. I don't want to rent shit. I want to own this shit because it saves you so much more money within even a year. It's just insane. Like, I wouldn't mind living in these 55 and up communities, even like having to pay an HOA fee because some of them are fairly low. Like they're only like $200 or whatever, each paying rent. Like the one we're living in fucking sucks though. They do pretty much no maintenance on anything, and it's $800 for fucking leasing the land, which again pisses me off. So not cool. And then you get these 55 and up communities that are like, yeah, it's $200, land included, and all that. And it's like, really? The old people get all this shit, yet actual working people get nothing even remotely close? Like, come on, man. Like, just cutting out the rent, man. That's just, oh, I can't stress that enough, dude. Like, these manufactured homes down here are pretty nice, especially the more modular ones that are built on a foundation, because they have to be. Because the modular homes are built to, like, code with actual, like, proper stick-built houses. It's just the only difference is like the walls and like a ton of the actual like shit in that house is a lot more like manufactured. Like it's built on an assembly line to cut down on costs instead of having to basically be like custom labor for everything. So that's how you save up a lot of money is with stuff like that. But even still, it's just, And again, like, fucking loans and mortgages on anything, the interest rate is what really kills you. I mean, you'll get like a mortgage for something that's like pretty good, but by the time you're done paying off the mortgage altogether, even something like $100,000 property actually costs you like $180,000 simply because of the fucking interest rate over that course of time. Stupid and lame and dumb, and I don't like it. Not a fan of it. I just don't like having to worry about paying off like a loan or anything or any kind of debt. I just want to be able to comfortably own something, but it's just ridiculous nowadays, dude. I just don't want to have to pay rent, man. Or pay for like a mortgage or something. Again, I can't stress that enough. Fucking paying for mortgages and rent, it's not good. Don't do it if you can help it. It will just and especially especially if it's rent. A mortgage is one thing. At least it will end at some point, and you will get like property out of it. Okay, and you can sell that inevitably later to match inflation. So anytime you have property, you'll almost certainly be able to sell it later for like a net like capital gain because there's not as much land as there used to be in the 60s, and surely in the 19 or in the 2050s there won't be as much land as there was here in the 2020s, so prices will still keep going up. So at least at some point you'll be able to turn some kind of profit at something to recoup some losses. But it's just I just don't like mortgages, man, or especially renting. Again, renting is doo-doo far. Don't rent. I hate rent. It's not cool. I think we got enough dirt for now. We'll have practically 3 boxes. I'm sure that's okay for now. I'm gonna say it is because frankly I'm tired of mining dirt at the moment. I would rather not. So we're just gonna whoops. Although now that I'm thinking about it, wow, I can't aim at all. It's crazy. Why would I ever want to aim at anything? They're just sheep. What are they doing wrong? But it's just annoying just being a young adult and then like, you talk about how shit sucks and then all you fucking hear, like all I hear from my mother every fucking time is just that's just how it is, get used to it. It's like, no, I will not get fucking used to it. It's not worth it at that point. Seriously have genuinely thought about just stopping, well, which I can't say the thing, but you know exactly what I'm thinking of saying, but I've seriously have thought about it somewhat recently just because of the fact that like if this is really it, if this is all there is to it, why even bother at this point? But I'm giving it until I'm about 25, maybe like 30 at absolute most before I do anything, but realistically if it doesn't get better by then, it simply just is not worth it because it really isn't going to get better at that point. So if it doesn't get better by that point, I'm done. I'm done living, and I would rather not even attempt it again. So, do I have an empty box? Probably. I do. Yeah, okay, that works. It's just frustrating. It feels like it'll never get better. It will at some point, inevitably. It's just, I don't think I have it in me to trying that long anymore. Maybe when I was a little younger, sure, and it's like, oh, you're just 15. Once you're an adult, it gets better, and it did get better when I was an adult. And then I moved back home from college, and then in fact got straight back to being as bad as I remembered. So, you know, gotta get out of here soon. It's the worst part, man. Once I'm back to living by myself, I'm sure I'll be feeling a lot better, like mentally about it. But it's just all my stress ends up coming from living here with my. Really don't like being around. The sooner I'm out of here, the better. So why I'm trying to work so hard on getting out more than anything is just so I don't have to be around. It's never that easy, unfortunately. So this is me. But I'll get out of here one day. Hopefully, I make it around that long. But again, it's just disheartening because of the cost of living being way too aggressively high no matter where I go. I can't even find anywhere to rent for cheaper than like $1,000 around here. I still would have to be able to drive to work, even like a little bit farther up north where it's like a lot cheaper. You're still talking like $1,100 and shit like that. Like there is nothing better to do. But you know what? No, give me a second here. Now I'm genuinely curious again. I don't know if stuff's changed or not, but I'm gonna see something really quickly. Um, Because it's not just houses that can be for rent. There's apartments, condos, manufactured homes. Manufactured homes tend to be a lot cheaper, but I gotta find an MLS database that actually has this shit on here. But I literally just need something that has, roofs and all. Like see, this shit pisses me off. It's just a normal like 3 bedroom, 3 bathroom house. Oh, but it's big. Oh wow, and it's fucking $13,000 a month. Like you're insane. The cheapest one that's here is a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom fucking apartment, and it's fucking $1,300. No, excuse me, it's $1,250. My bad, guys. But it's ridiculous. This is the cheapest. It's $1,250, and it's 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and there's a leasing fee and an application fee and first month deposit, and it's just a fucking condo, and you're locked into it for a year. Oh my god, why even? And then they all require you to make like triple the amount. You know, you have to make like triple the amount per month. So I couldn't leave if I wanted to because I simply, I make 2,400 a month after this raise. I think. Let me actually double check. But it's all pre-tax, by the way. 17 times 5. No, times 4 times 35. Sorry. So, I would make 2,380 before tax. So if I had to make triple, I could only live in a place that was 800 a month in rent. Because they all want like at least triple. Some of them are okay with double, but it's few and far between. But it pisses me off, dude. It's not even worth it at this fucking point. It's just frustrating, man. It just ain't worth it. I can't leave if I want to. That's the worst part. I have no choice in it. There is no choice. There's no option. Just stuck here forever, always renting or always being stuck in a trailer. Wow, cheapest I found here on another site, $1,049 a month apartment for rent. It is 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. It is 595 square feet. The other cheapest is a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom that's 432 square feet, and it's an apartment, and it's $1,100 a month. That's all it's been so far, and they're just, dude. And it's just an empty house with walls. Obviously, you gotta have your own furniture and fucking just, oh man. And it's down in like the fucking like ghetto or like the traditionally ghetto part of town too. That's where it is, of course, which fair enough. But it's just, man, it's just fucking stupid, dude. Oh wow, no, here's one. Here's one a little bit farther up north, like I was talking about. Here's one for 990. It's a studio, 1 bathroom, as in it's a studio apartment and you got 1 bathroom, and then you pretty much got a room. There's no fucking stove in here. There's no stove in here. They have a fucking shelf with a microwave. There's no oven. There's no fucking stovetop. It is 300 square feet and $900. Like this is what I mean. Why even try at this point? It's just not worth it. All I'm looking for. Oh wow, here's one for 850. That's cool. That's great. Yeah, cool. It's a one bedroom, one bathroom. It's an annual unfurnished rental property. That's cool. It's unfurnished, so you get no furniture in it. Got to provide all of your own, which is a huge fucking startup cost. That's great. That's awesome. In 2019, it used to be 675. Now it's 850 as of 2023 because COVID kind of fucked up everything when it comes to home prices. But dude, it's just sometimes you really got to sit down and wonder, is it even really worth it after a certain point? And honestly, it's looking more and more like it isn't. This is the absolute cheapest shit. Don't matter where it is. It's just even on my current like salary, and I'm not exactly paid fucking peanuts either per se. It's just like I could comfortably afford all my utilities and all my fucking recurring bills, like paying for internet or whatever, and paying for my water and electric, and fucking paying for like food and insurance and gas. I could afford comfortably to pay for all that. And in fact, I already do, other than electric, water, and internet. I pay for my own. Oh, I guess my phone bill, but like it would only be another couple hundred extra a month, right? And I already comfortably can pay my car insurance, my own groceries, my own gas. I already do all that. Even though I don't have to, I already do. It's just I can't fucking do it for with rent. That's the worst part, is just with rent. Like if I can just oh my god, man. It's just being able to knock that out of the equation at any cost, man, is just all I'm looking for. I'm not asking to live in a five-star resort. I'm not asking for some luxury apartment. I'm asking to just have a roof with with running water and electricity that's not trailer park electricity and running water, where our water keeps getting cut off and we have almost no water pressure for any of our shower. Or by any of our shower, I meant singular. I don't know why I said any, like we had multiple, but it's just stupid. There's no way around it. It is objectively fucking stupid, man. At this point, I might just see if it really is economically viable to. I don't want to be an asshole who just Airbnb stuff, but clearly it works. So, but I just Airbnb places out for some kind of like somewhat steady income on top of like my job to supplement for rent, and then it just and we're renting out places currently, like the only places I meant place like singular, for like 100 a night, and then we offer like pretty steep like bulk discounts. Like if you pay for like a month at a time, you get like a 30% discount, and then we don't charge any kind of cleaning fee or anything like that. And then we've only rented it out to like three or four people. The first two were bad, not because of them or anything like that. It's because the fucking person we let stay for free fucked it up like massively, didn't tell us. And then the third person, my mom goes out of her way to be nice to them and all that shit, and then they leave like a fine review. They were like, oh, it's overpriced. I was like, oh, it's overpriced, and go somewhere else. Clearly, since you know somewhere cheaper, because we priced it the way we did at 100 a night. Because everything else around here, including hotels, are like 150 minimum, especially this close to the beach. Of course, it's a little different after the hurricane, but it's like shit like that. And the guy we got staying here now is paying like 2,000 a month for it because he bought it for 3 months, which I guess is cheaper than a hotel, but it's just like it's a pretty good chunk of money because it pays the lot rent on it, it pays the utilities for it, and then you still walk away with like a clean like $1,000 profit, or like $800 I think, because we still have to pay like off the trailer itself. So even fucking doing that for $100 a night and giving a massive discount, someone went out of their way to buy it, so that way they're paying 2,000 a month to like be in that for a couple of days out of the month or whatever. And like like clearly there's a market for it. But it's just, man, dude, I feel like we could be managing that stuff a lot more. But or if we own, and that's another thing too. It's like we're only allowed to have two of them to rent out, or only two of them can be owned per person. So if we ever wanted more, they'd have to start coming out under my name, which I really don't want because I don't plan on being in Florida forever. But it's like if you own the land and you develop it and you can put like shit on it to rent out, you'll probably just straight up be making like a lot more money off of it. Like ideally one day I want to be able to just like have like a plot of land that has like a good chunk of these like modular homes, like 20 or 30 of them or whatever on them, and rent them out for like, again, like I talked about, like however much the cost is for like property tax and then like the land itself, and then plus like a flat like profit margin of like at most 250 per like house and all that. So it keeps it ridiculously competitive and straight up impossible to compete with unless people stop being greedy. And then, which is the goal, is to get people to stop being fucking greedy by making it so if you're not greedy, if you're greedy, you have physically no way to compete because they fucking suck. And watch that be considered like anti-competition, and I have to raise prices. That'd be fucking stupid. There's no way that ever happen. But it's just, main point is make it so it's accessible to every single person, so that way like anyone and their mom could like fucking live there for like cheap as shit, and then I'd always have someone there at like 100% occupancy, and then just like live off of that fucking income forever, pretty much, because it's so cheap. I could even probably have it done in a way where like they have to handle like their own repairs on their own dime, but otherwise when they move in or out, it's all like taken care of for the next tenant or for themselves, so they shouldn't have to fix anything unless they themselves break something or something is just so old. That's a little annoying. But it's just, there should just be something better I can do. I don't want to keep doing this shit forever. I know housing should be a lot cheaper because I know it's not that much to fucking to rent or to own rather. It's just these fucking profit margins keep widening and widening down here for literally no reason other than they can, and it pisses me. So I would rather not have to. I'd rather be the one to start the end of that, because it's just like objectively you're making so much money per month, even with like those like significantly reduced margins that unless you're like living on like a fucking yacht and you have like these crazy amount of expenses, you're still making more money than you can reasonably spend living like a normal, like honest life, It just pisses me off that people still keep charging so much for shit. I know they don't have to, they just keep fucking doing it. Oh, hey, welcome back, Scary. It's been a couple of months, but I'm digging a little bit of cobblestone, you know how it is. I want to afford rent, just anywhere. Not even anywhere fancy, I just want to be able to have a place to live. I can actually have just by myself. That won't happen. But it's just been a little bit of cobblestone, a little bit of dirt. But imagine having a life update. Got the cat on a bed still looking up. Cool. Oh, nice. That's pretty cool though. Making up into the state stage of English, it's pretty good. Stuff does get pretty competitive at like a national level, so it's pretty nice. State, national, same difference really. Oh, there's the kitty. Kind of though. So cool. Go. Oh, the cobble. Sure, if it's for something free, I guess. But I mean, why not pay for it at that point? Unless you don't have the money, which fair enough. But if it is free, you might as well go for it. No reason. Still 150,000 a lot. Free is free. That is true. Oh, $70 normally. Yeah, that's fair. Imagine paying for art or something, or just commissions. I probably would way later one day if I ever felt like it, but I've never had a need for it. And honestly, I want to start learning how to draw by myself, so kind of cooler to make. We're almost done with this cobblestone at least for now. Of course, I'll still have to do more here, but chipping this. Imagine day 170. Yeah, I'm at 172 parts of this, so it's still been a while. I still haven't, like, well, obviously I haven't fucking died yet, but I've pretty much just been working on the mountain range since I came back last week. I was kind of busy doing stuff myself, but I've just been working on like wireframing the mountain range, all this dirt here, so I can actually. So a message. Damn. Oh no, it's actually already been a year. Fun fact. Oh, I guess it hasn't been a year since you joined, but it's been a year since I've started up this world because I started this at like the end of February last year. Of course, those streams aren't available anymore. Unfortunately, the first six because I didn't think to fucking archive them until it was too late. I started up part 7, but it's a shame too. Would have even shown the first time I actually almost died to like wither skeletons. So, but I wish I would have saved those. Not that big of a deal at the end of the day, but it still would have been nice to have. But yeah, I've been playing on this world for over a year now, and it's I'm only on day 1700 because I took a couple of month-long breaks here and there, especially after the hurricane and moving back. I had to take some pretty massive breaks, but I'm actually almost at day 1750 in game. So, see, imagine releasing the file or the world file. Couldn't be. I'll probably release like a world download like once I'm properly like dead and buried in this world, but otherwise I'm just gonna like not because I'm really not that interested in it. So at some point I will, but I will literally be dead and like the world will be over at that point. So it won't really matter whether it goes out or not. Well, it still doesn't matter even now if it does. I just don't want it to. I simply don't care to do it. So still. Ooh, that's good. I'm starting to get down to like the old layers there. I'm actually carving out a serious chunk of cobblestone off these edge pieces. So hopefully, at some point, I do want to get all of the inside cobblestone dug out, but this is something that takes like ages to do, so I'm not gonna hold my breath on it. But it's been going. I actually got a new PC, I think, since the last time you were here. It's a little bit beefier now. Can handle a lot more. I think you were here for the trading hall. I'm pretty sure, at least on bits and pieces. But it's been going. Oh, see, what do you mean you almost killed me? I have like 13 billion totems. I jumped off on purpose like multiple times. Like it's like, as soon as I popped the totem, I just one right back in the hand. There was no almost dying because I'm my base, but not like it really matters anyway. But I'm still planning on keeping this world going for quite a long time, so not too bad. I doubt that. That's what they all say. But yeah. I'm mining all the blocks. Oh, I kind of need to go drop these. Alright, let me do that. But I got a better PC since then, so it's, a lot nicer. I got a 3060 now. I got a Ryzen 9 5900X, I got a 3060, and then I got 128 gigabytes of RAM because I am an insane person who spent too much money, so if only I did. But nah. I've only done this for like an hour today. I haven't just spent like a whole stream doing this in like ages, so I don't plan on doing a whole stream doing this. I just need to clear out enough of it so I can start placing dirt down, and then I'll be good to go. But at some point, all this cobblestone will get covered up, so it's not like it'll really matter. It's just on the inside I want it to all kind of like get wiped away at some point, so that way I can actually build stuff in here. So I'm thinking I could build a proper like mega base inside of this mountain. It just takes a lot of time is all. I still have to do a lot of like, so it takes time too. It doesn't matter if it's stimulating or not. It needs to get done. Not everything has to be like super stimulating or instantly gratifying in life. That's kind of half the point of it. That ends up being the best part of my work, funny enough, because my actual literal like job is like some days it's something akin to this where it's like super fucking boring, non-gratifying work, but it does need to get done. And then the way I look at it is that it is literally a money printer because it is stupid, boring work that no one else in the office wants to do or has the time to do. So then I do it for 3 weeks straight. I get paid for it. They're very appreciative of it. And then it inevitably happens again within 2 weeks, and it's free money. So, why not? Not like everything needs to be super, Oh no, I didn't exactly restart. That was when I was doing a shit. What was it called? I was doing like a totemless and shieldless one, and then I died on the second part of the totemless and shieldless on account of falling into a cave. And then I was gonna do like a new one like then and there, but then I spawned in a mesa, so then I just went back to doing this world. And then I was gonna start another one up again, and I actually did for one part, and then just kind of like ignored it, and I still am ignoring it because I'm just gonna start doing those offline so I can edit them into like video. So I'll probably start like a new one and then just start like actually making YouTube videos off of them. This one will still get streamed, but the totemless and shieldless one I want to be like an actual like edited series. So you know, it's kind of like imagine. I only don't play it here because it's like there's no point in doing it here because I've already used totems and shields. So I want this one to be like I want this one to last as long as humanly possible, and then like I just want to do a totemless and shieldless one otherwise because I think it would just be cooler to do. And it's more exciting all the time, you know. Good armor will still make the game like a lot easier, but it won't be any guarantee, especially without a shield. Like shields themselves like make the game like a lot easier. I'd argue that well, okay, no, totems just letting you not die straight up is broken, but in the early game, shields are straight up like the only reason like you just live after a certain point because dealing with skeletons is like really hard without a shield. But kind of like once you get that figured out, then it's like whatever, You get good armor, it doesn't really matter. But shields make like the early game like pretty much impossible to lose because you can just tank everything and not have to worry about it, and then just make new ones. You fucking break your old one. It don't really matter. But finally at a point here, I can start clearing away the old moss and all that. Grab this. Basically, we just want to tip all this back until we get to the peak of it over here. So, and then we want to carve away all the old dirt, and then we'll just throw all this stuff off the cliff here. Here we go. That away, throw that away. And then I can just start placing dirt again. So we kind of want to match what we got going up here. We just want it to be like bulged out a little bit more. I'm thinking actually before I forget, I had to connect up those bits. I forgot to do that. I was meaning to do that, but I kind of forgot for whatever reason. So we'll do that really quickly just so I kind of get a better idea of what the skeleton's going to look like again. Damn, it's already been 2 hours. That's crazy. But oh yeah, we'll go ahead and do this part really quickly just so I can say I did it. Not official until it's in, I guess, but not too bad. Here, this block. And then we want to go kind of like shallow with this, so but not too shallow. Yeah, okay, something like that, I think. Here we go. It's a shot here. See how this looks. I might be. Nah, I think I can like it. Let me get a better. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I actually do need to work on the connect. Nah, I don't really need to work. That's what terraforming's for. I'll fucking figure it out. Nah, actually, you know what? Hang on. Let me change up one little thing. Let me see if I can. So I do that. And then hopefully that ought to just make it just a little bit. Do a little something like that. Let's see how that helps. That help a little bit. Just kind of want to get a rough idea of what the like slope of it is going to be. I think that's a little bit better, yeah. Yeah, we'll leave it like that for now. I can't really think of a better way to change it, but if I do, I'm sure I'll figure it out by that time, but not like it matters too much at the moment. Then I've got this one I'm working on now, and then I'll have the next one, and then and in fact, I'll only have this chunk of cobblestone to clean up, and I guess a little bit of that smaller one down. That'll be good. Imagine having channel points. Let's see. There we go. Starts again. Oh yeah, duh. Kind of want it to escalate on if I'm not gonna have an Electron. Whoops. Uh, nope, I started that too soon. That's annoying. There we go. Yeah. Already? Yep, we're starting to actually go over solid land now, so that's actually pretty incredible. So, if I had to guess, this stuff is gonna probably stretch just barely to the extreme hills over here. Might actually dip into the swamp and more of the forest, but I'm pretty sure it'll probably stop at about the stream. But it'll be pretty cool when it does happen. But who knows? I think after I'm done with this layer, I'll probably actually stop for today since it has already been 2 hours. But we'll see how I feel after this. So do a little something like that. And I should have more dirt. Yeah. Shadow's pretty good again still. It's getting steeper and steeper out, or not steeper, it's getting farther and farther out like I wanted, so we'll have like shallower and shallower. It'll be weird connecting it from the ocean up to the actual start of it, so I'll have to think carefully about that when that does inevitably. Not that big of a deal for now. That's something I will have to worry about way later because I won't be able to do it. Imagine. Lurking is real. For One Piece. I'm pretty confident we're gonna end up going past the ocean monument here soon. Careful about that too. I don't know how I'm gonna enclose that yet, but I know I need to. Okay, yep, got enough dirt for now. Make a little swim. And something that's oddly spherical? I'm gonna check that one out. I don't know what that is. Unless it might be a geode. I thought they didn't show that part, yeah. Oh, it is a geode. That's what I thought. Huh. What Y level am I at? 42. You know, I thought they stopped generating down here. That's why I wasn't sure. I guess they do, so it's cool. I guess let's maybe take some time to appreciate it from a different angle now that I'm sitting down and thinking about it. I'll fly out to the very edge of the sphere here, see what I can see. Oh man, you know this shit is big. If I can see just, oh my god, this thing's gonna be insane. I might have to crank up the render distance for this a little bit more. We'll crank it up to, fuck it, 32, why not? Stuttering a little bit, but much, much better than my old graphics card, which was no slouch either, per se, but of course, nothing can exactly handle this shit with this much. Oh, yeah, you already know this thing's about to be fucking crazy once I get this thing properly. I never get a chance to really sit down and appreciate the scale of this for more than a little bit, so. Dude, this thing is gonna be fucking crazy, holy shit. Wow, dude. A fucked up pyramid after a certain point. I'm thinking I should probably steepen it off starting on the next layer. So they'll be a lot closer together, so that way they're steeper. I'm thinking that'll be the right way to go. But this is already looking fucking nuts just from a little outline. That's insane, man. Alright. It's not about what it is now, it's about what it will be. And what it's gonna be is fucking stupid, so. Oh, I never finished building this other layer. Hang on, maybe I should do this one first. Oh, I totally forgot. Whoops. I remember I was stopping this so I could get more dirt, but then also I needed to, like, start working on the descent part as well. Yeah, that's right. I was starting over here. Wait, maybe not exactly. Hang on, let me see one other thing. Currently at Y level 164 up there on that ledge, and I think if I go over here, I'm probably at about 160. I am, okay. That's our goal there, not there. There, okay. That makes my life a little bit easier then, and it's a good thing I took some time to sit down and catch that, because that could have been a really annoying later on. So we actually want to build over here right now. And we're also going to immediately switch on the chest plate because I know this area is a little bit more sketch than normal. Not too sketch, it's mainly creepers are the only thing again, but I think I've taken enough time to light that stuff up there where it's not too. We want to go from here to there, so we're going to start on that. Things are gonna get a little awkward though in terms of spacing, so I don't know even if there is any good way to approach this. Maybe I should swing out a lot more. Let's try that instead. How about this? We're gonna branch off here and just swing out a lot more and then see if I can't catch something a little bit better. And the reason this is weird is because normally I like having all the bands like be apart from. I don't know how to explain it too well, but I like it so like this band is slightly more inwards and this band is more inwards and that one and so on and so forth. But this one breaks that pattern in a way that I just wasn't expecting yet or at all. So it's gonna get a little awkward to deal with. But it's not impossible. It's just gonna take a little bit more thinking. And then that's where we want to connect all the way over there. All right, doing it though. Now we'll definitely have to redo part of that to adjust a little bit better. Not too big of a deal, just something to keep. There we go. That's a pretty smooth connection. All right, good, 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 good. That's another layer actually done. Forgot to finish this earlier, as I said, but it is done now, though. Get a nice big flat, gonna be flattish area over here. So, well, with some of these, not steep. I guess sloped. What's what's the word? Not steep. The opposite is steep. Don't know what it is. Either way, a lot more of these like shallow. That was the word I was using before. I forgot what shallow was. Anyways, these a lot more these shallow angles that we got going on here. And it's better to look down at the shadows, but you see how much of a massive bulge there is compared to between like this and this, compared to that and that. We're gonna probably use some of these like super like large bits and like flatten them out after we're done with the terraforming. So we'll terraform them and then flatten some of them out in a way that we can put like buildings and like simple little farms and simple little communities on them. Or and when it comes to like super big ones like this will be like where like a bunch of like forestry goes and all that kind of stuff. So we're not just going to be doing like houses and small little like farming communities that are like somewhat isolated from each other. We're going to be doing like, you know, whole ass things. I mean, like whole forests and like different biomes practically on there. And then the steeper bits will be more for just straight up terraforming, with actual like stone and dirt and whatnot. But otherwise, it'll just be like small little villages dotted here and there with some little forest dotted around here and there. Maybe some patches of stone, maybe some patches of gravel, maybe some snow. But most of it'll just be dirt, maybe some moss too. I think moss will be a good way to break it up a little bit better. But yeah, I think we'll just miss the Guardian farm this time, but it's starting to come up now where we can't ignore it anymore. Like the next one for sure, next time we'll have to come across it. So that will be interesting. That'll be quite the challenge to overcome, but I don't think it'll be impossible. It's just I kind of want to blend it in more with the landscape in terms of like having like a building to cover up the because this is basically just a chute more or less. So I'll have to make something to cover that up at some point. Um, this stuff will inevitably get isolated by itself once the actual full mountain is in place. Like I'll straight up be able to cover up the entire farm bit there. If I can't cover up the whole ocean monument without it looking awkward, that's all right as long as I cover up one little like quadrant of it that has the soul sand and the nether portals. That's all I need covered up is that little bit, and then I'm pretty much fine. So that's really what we have to keep in mind. That's what's actually important to cover up. But that's out in the future. That's not right now, so I don't have to worry about that at the moment. Anyways, back to this one before I forget what I was doing again. Try not to get too sidetracked, but kind of difficult sometimes when I see things that I like. Oh, I need to fix that before I forget, and then I do fix them, and it's like, cool. What was I doing? All right, we're out of dirt in that one. Now we have to start dipping into the actual big box. So that's all right. Kind of expected it to happen, obviously, but I'll have to probably get more dirt next time too to boot. So yeah, next one more likely than not. Oh, see, you can even see guardians flopping around in there because I am close enough to actually start loading the farm. Now, luckily they can't see me from this distance. If they can, it's not that big of a deal. I just immediately jump off and then I can go turn on the mob switch, so it's not like I'll ever die. But Just something to be a little bit cautious of. Good to be aware of stuff like that. And that's where we're trying to meet up all the way over there. Looks weird from this angle, but not in a bad way. I like it though. Let's start from this side and work our way out. Alright, these are even the same height as well, like it was meant to be. There we go, it's a little better. Whoops. Alright, there we go. So we got that part connected up. And with that, I think that'll do it for today. Um, we've definitely got quite a bit of a bigger bulge there than I would have liked. Really not that big of a deal, luckily. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers left on this side. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 left on this side. Hey, great. Perfect then. Alright. We're making great progress, and it's actually evened out. That's good. Of course, can't see nothing from this angle, so I guess just for old time's sake, let me go ahead and land and grab out my ender chest. I need more fireworks and all, so we'll go ahead and take another little, quick little view of it from way out in the back, just to kind of get a feel for what it's really like, so see if I can fly up and over. Not if, I mean, I know I can, but, you know. But yeah, as you can already probably guess, this is starting to come together pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it so far, personally. Even though it is just framework, it's really hard to get like a full like vision of like what the fuck is actually going on. But I do think it is coming together nicely. It's just taking some time to really like come together in a way that makes sense or means anything. We'll fly up here a little bit. But yeah, you can see how fucking big and like sloped it is. So we're gonna start being a lot. We're gonna be a lot more steep with it in the near future. But you can really start to appreciate the sense of like scale this thing is. You know, I mean, this is just ridiculous, man. Holy shit, dude. I think that'll be a fair screenshot. Keep flying higher and higher, because kind of have to. Kind of insane. This is 530 blocks up, and we're like Y 530, 540 is what we're hanging out about right now. And you know, we're just now starting to unload the ocean at this height, even with distance. And even then, I still can't feel like I'm getting enough of like an angle. There we go. Alright, I think that's enough screenshots of that. We're gonna tone this back down a little bit. Back to 20 it goes. Back to 16. Simulate. And we're back to being buttery smooth. That's good. Yeah, we're dealing with some like pretty serious size here, dude. I mean, this isn't nothing. Like, this is a fucking massive thing that we're doing. So it's coming along great, all things considered. You know, I mean, we've even hit day 1750 right now. As a matter of fact, that's really cool on its own. I still haven't updated this map yet, and honestly, I don't intend to until I at least get the wireframing done. Just because of the fact that it probably won't even show up even with it. So, it being a 1 to 8 map and all. But that's what the expanded map room is for up here. Is I need to eventually make more maps to put in the map room. That would probably be nice to have. But we're doing pretty good here. I'm pretty happy with what's been happening. So that is gonna have to do it for me today here on day 1750. It has in fact been 2.5 hours, and I have not had anything to eat today. So I would like to go eat. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope to see y'all again tomorrow on Sunday, where we do the same thing for another 3 hours. But yeah, bye bye for now.